Welcome to Distribution Talk with Jason Vader, the show where we dive into the stories, struggles, and solutions from business owners and thought leaders in the wholesale distribution market. Hey friends, Jason here. In this episode, I had the pleasure to catch up with my old friend Ian Heller. And Ian is the founder and chief strategy officer for the Distribution Strategy Group. And you'll hear him refer to, he and his partner, Jonathan Bine, put together this organization about 6 years ago. And, they put together this fantastic conference. This is really what we talk about in the program a little bit is it's called Applied AI for Distributors. And this will be the third year that I attend. It's just been a pleasure. But I'll tell you, one of the things I really love about Ian is he's got a pretty accomplished career, and he's got a heck of a conference that he's built. And really, they've built quite a media company around distribution and marketing strategy and a lot of data strategy. And, you could have a bit of an ego if that was your trajectory. But, one of the things I love about Ian is that he's not. This is just a really great guy to hang out with. He and I love to just talk about very different topics, than distribution. And we just enjoy, the chat. And I think that's one of the things I really enjoy about some of the advisors that I know in the distribution space. We all run into each other and we can just have a great conversation. We won't see each other for a year, maybe sometimes two, but we can sit down and just absolutely enjoy each other's company. And I think that's one of the great things, though, when these folks are working with distributors, is that they truly want to help those folks succeed. Their goal is to help people get better. It's not to line their pockets. It's to help people get better. And I know there's a skeptical view of those of us in the advisory world that, we're just there, trying to pull money out of these companies. And that's not the case. For us, we could have all worked in companies and stayed in careers that probably would have made us a heck of a lot more money than we have today. We just enjoy the teaching and the watching of these companies grow. And I think, again, if I look at Distribution Strategy Group and their mission, and Ian and Jonathan, and now Brian, involved there as well. I mean, I watch these folks that they are truly trying to put something together to allow companies, distribution companies specifically, to excel. And that's really what this whole episode is about. We just really talk about why somebody would want to go to this and really where AI is going. But anyway, that was a long-winded intro this time, but truly enjoy my experience speaking with Ian. So I hope you do too. This episode is brought to you by Connected Peers, an online peer collaboration platform for distribution professionals. Let's face it, most managers don't have the opportunity to speak with their industry peers about common challenges in their departments. Sure, they might see each other at an annual conference, but that hardly provides any real relationship building or continuity. What if there was a forum to solve challenges with those in your same role? Well, now there is. The concept is simple. Purchasing managers meeting with purchasing managers, training managers meeting with training managers, marketing managers meeting with marketing managers. You get the idea. There are 10 unique role-based communities to choose from. These are monthly, facilitated meetings all via Zoom. Ask questions and receive feedback from people who understand the challenges of your position. Isn't it time that you quit going it alone? To learn more and find your peers, visit us at www.connectedpeers.com. Well, hey, Ian, great to see you as always. Welcome back to Distribution Talk. Thanks for taking the time to be with me.
Are you kidding, man? This is one of the best programs in all of distribution, and you are one of the finest hosts, and I'm delighted to be with you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, hey, I appreciate the kind words. I'll take those with me as I waltz into retirement someday. Who knows? Gosh, I tell you, it's so funny. Speaking of that, people keep asking, about the R word, the retirement word. And I'm like, I don't really know. What does that mean? What does retirement look like? I don't really know. I kind of still like working. It's fun. I enjoy what I do. So
me too. I mean, I don't think I'll ever fully retire. I mean, I can see being on a couple of boards and doing some speaking and, but I'm never going to ride off into the sunset. I think I'm one of those guys who would sit down on the couch and then never get up. So I'm not going to start.
Yeah, I think that'd probably be a bad call.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. If you wouldn't mind, just, you've been on the show a couple times, but let's remind the audience a little bit about you, your background, why distribution, all of that fun stuff.
Yeah. So I got in distribution because I got a job at a bus manufacturing plant working in the warehouse when I was in college. And then when I went back to college at Colorado State in Fort Collins, Colorado, that bus manufacturing truck unloading experience got me a job as a truck unloader at a Grainger branch.
Yeah.
Then I was a Grainger for 15 years and I, managed branches. I got into marketing and I eventually was the vice president of marketing at Grainger. And then I've had 3 other jobs like that in different verticals within distribution. Construction supplies was the most recent one. And at Whitecap, which is now this multi-billion-dollar company.
Very familiar with Whitecap, man.
Yeah.
I've known that. They've bought several of my friends' companies over the years. And,
Yeah, it's a great company. And then, so I've just sort of fell into distribution by accident, but I love it. And I think, I love distributors. They're generally great employers and they treat their people well. And the people who work there are very, customer and service oriented. They're my kind of people. They're trying to make the world a better place. And so that's how I got into it. And then about 5 years ago, this June, we started Distribution Strategy Group, which is a media company. So we do a lot of our own programming, as you know, and we have 3 of our own software products. And then in June, we're doing our 4th conference, Applied AI for Distributors. I know you're going to be there.
Absolutely. Wouldn't miss it.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm all about distribution. It's now in my DNA.
Yeah, it's so funny that you talk about the bus company, and working in a warehouse and doing some stuff. I think when you start doing stuff like that, because I started at a very young age as well, it just kind of sticks with you. And it's like almost like, I know I can always go back into that because I get it. I understand that. If all else fails, I can go work in a warehouse again. I know how to do that.
I probably should because my level or my income has moved inversely to my fitness.
Yeah, exactly.
I was in great shape when I was unloading trucks all the time.
Right, 100%. That makes sense. Yeah. No, it's funny. And, and I try to encourage people as much as I can, because, I have kids in high school and I encourage high school students to look at, hey, there's a lot of little supply houses, even in the small town that I live in, a lot of supply houses. And they aren't the flashy job. You aren't the, the big, you're not slinging coffee, making friends and hanging out with the pretty people. But these are great jobs and you're going to learn so many life skills as you spend time in them.
Yeah, well, I think if the audience could actually see us right now, they'd say, well, these are very pretty people. But anyway, you have your own
I think so too. Yeah, maybe we should go video.
But yeah, I don't know. It's just a great industry. It really is.
100%.
And so I've been very pleased to be a part of it. And I think, distributors, you'll hear a lot of knocks against distributors, like how they're technologically behind the times, et cetera. But you know what? They make choices that work for their business. And I think they're more interested in mature technologies that really work than, trying to impress everybody with being bleeding edge adopters.
Well, and I think it's funny. It is kind of a label that, yes, distributors get that slow to the game type of label. But honestly, I look at some of the distributors, both you and I know, I'm like, these guys take risks, they're kind of bleeding edgers. They'll get out there and they throw money at it. That's the other thing a lot of folks don't really recognize about the distribution industry is that the technology spend is actually a very large piece of their expenses, their operating expenses.
Yeah, like my business partner who I brought into distribution to do a project for me when we were consulting like 15 years ago. He fell in love with distribution. He's a computer science guy.
Yeah.
But he fell in love with the industry for all the reasons that we just talked about, but also because it's so rich in data. And that's interesting if you're an analytical person.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, the amount of data that is generated on a daily basis is astounding. And then as a data scientist, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm a kid in a candy store. I can do a lot with this.
Yeah. Can you relate to this, Jason? So in all my years of working with distributors, as a consultant or when I, first joined a company or now as we talk to distributors, almost every time there's this moment where they look kind of sheepish and they go, well, yeah, but our data is really bad.
Really bad or messed up. Yes.
It's really messed up.
All the time.
Right. Every one of them think they've got the worst. And you go, no, that's every distributor says that. And they go, no, you don't understand. Ours is really bad. They all think that. And it's never as bad as they think.
It's never as bad. No.
Right.
No, and I understand that if you just look at their database, for example, yes, it's been contributed to over decades by different people. And is it going to be, it's not going to be the cleanest, it's not going to be as pretty going through, but honestly, it's all there.
Right.
And the beauty of, where we are today with technology, and AI doesn't really care, know how pretty it is. I mean, that's the beautiful part. It's like, you don't have to have perfect data or perfectly clean databases to enjoy the technology today.
Yeah, I agree. Although someone listening to this right now is going, yeah, but ours is really bad.
But ours is really bad. Yeah. You haven't seen ours yet. I'm like, and you know what? There's a first for everything.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Right. Okay. Maybe
you're right. Maybe you're right. But yeah, it's pretty funny. No, I can absolutely relate to that for sure.
It's funny, the things you see that are common in distribution. Like when I give marketing talks, I talk about how distributors always think that their customers know what they sell, and their customers do not know what they sell. Right. I mean, they do not know. And so what I say is, have you ever walked through a branch or a distribution center and had a customer point to a brand and say, hey, when did you guys start carrying Honda generators? And you go, I don't know, 1990,
Right.
Right. Like, you're my fifth largest customer and you didn't know I carried Honda generators. Right. I mean, it's just the customers don't know what you carry. Your data's not as bad as you think.
Right.
There are all these little truisms. It's one of the benefits for people like you and me who see a lot of different distributors. Is these things jump out at you
very quickly. And you're just like, okay, hey, and there's fixes. That's a beautiful thing. There is repair. And it's usually not very difficult, and very expensive. Correct. I mean, that's the other thing is, I think one of the things I really do love is that when somebody invites us in, they actually want to hear what we have to say.
Yeah, right.
They actually want to do something different. Whereas I've seen, the reason I don't work with super large organizations is just because I really don't enjoy people coming in, wanting to argue with me and not listen at all, not even want to talk about solutions. They just want to argue how great they are. Okay, I'll write this check for a while if you want.
Yeah.
But I'm not providing value here.
No, I know. But it is, I mean, I'm sure you've discovered the same thing where there are things that are portable across distributors. Like when I was at Whitecap, and one of the things I always look at when I joined a company as a VP of marketing, or I used to do that anyway, and now we consulting, is we look at like account migration over time. Like how many new accounts are you generating? How many accounts are you losing? And you don't have to do very much math around what happens if you change those numbers to prove that it's transformative to your financial outcome, right? I mean, if you reduce retention and you increase acquisition and you get one more, sale per year current customers, do the math, it's extraordinary, right?
Right.
And one of the things that we put in place when I was at Whitecap is we had a lot of prospects out there that we didn't know about. And of course, when a sales rep or a branch person's driving around, they don't have time to check the database when they see a contractor truck. They don't have time to check the database to see if that's a customer, right? And they're probably too small for a salesperson to call in anyway.
Right.
So what we put in place is we had a marketing manager with a company phone, and we just told everyone in the field, whenever you go by a contractor truck, if you think it might be, a customer of ours and you're not sure, just take a picture of it and text it to us. Because every contractor truck has their company name and their phone number, which means you can create a unique identifier, right?
Yeah.
And so that marketing manager would take those pictures, and she got a bunch of them every day, and she'd match it against our database. And if they weren't a customer, we'd add them to our prospect list and start sending them our monthly promo catalogs for a while, right? And it's incredible how that one little prospecting exercise, first of all, is really easy for the field. They felt like they were helping. They liked doing it.
Yeah.
Right. And we completely turned around the trajectory of customer acquisition in that company. And that was one of the reasons why. And you know what? Any distributor can do that.
Absolutely. And I would also say that typically when you said field, a lot of people would think it's the territory salespeople. It's the drivers. I have a love for drivers. I have a love for drivers.
Me too.
So,
I'm glad you said that because I left them out and that was unintentional, but they were probably the biggest source of those images.
Yeah.
Good call.
Because they see everything. They see everything on the road, everything in the field, at the job site, wherever it may be. They see it all. And so, yeah, absolutely. They can be a huge resource for gathering that kind of information, that intelligence. So.
Yeah, just don't take pictures while you're driving. You got to stop first.
That's a bad idea. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. We've got dash cams now. We've got all kinds of fun technology.
Exactly.
We keep solving these problems, Ian.
I know.
This episode of Distribution Talk is sponsored by NSQL Distribution Software. NSQL is a fully functional distribution-based software package. I say distribution-based because that's important. Many alternatives out there say they do distribution, but they really aren't very good at it. They're generally watered-down manufacturing packages with a few distribution features tacked on. I only recommend software packages that were purpose-built to serve distribution, and these folks do it very well at a price point many smaller distributors can afford. If you're ready to step up to a fully loaded, scalable distribution package at an affordable price, look no further than InSQL Distribution Software at www.insequel.com. That's INXSQL.com.
Let's talk a little bit about the AI for Distributors conference. Let me step back, and I don't know if I've ever asked you this, is how did you start this and why did you start it?
Yeah, we started because there was a vacuum in the market. And there still is, by the way. We're the only major live conference for distribution that I know of in North America, right? And, we saw, it was really when the first public version of ChatGPT came out.
Yes.
And remember how astonished we all were? It's kind of normalized now.
Yeah,
At the time, we were like, oh my gosh, it can write this story and it can answer these questions. And we realized what we saw was there was all kinds of activity, live events for, healthcare and the insurance industry and manufacturing. And there's nothing for distribution. And my business partner, Jonathan Bine, has a PhD in computer science with a concentration in AI. And, fortunately, when we crafted our partnership deal, AI wasn't such a big deal. He might have wanted more than half the company.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding, man.
But anyway, so I just got lucky, better than being smart and went into business with someone who's got a PhD in AI.
Right.
So I was like, well, we're uniquely qualified between my operating background and his technology background, to figure out how to do this event right for distributors. So, and also one of the things we were seeing, and I see this at a lot of conferences when I worked out in the industry, there are a lot of general speakers on AI, right?
Yes.
Some of them are fantastic, by the way.
Some of them are great. Yeah. I've met a few of them and I really enjoy them. I think they're interesting for background information. I think it's for historical, how did we get here? Great.
Yeah. What are the greater implications on society? What they don't speak to is, how do I run a distribution company and apply AI to it so that I get better business outcomes? And that's what this conference is about. So most of our speakers, they're speaking specifically about distribution. And we got some that can provide some context and some like we have a cybersecurity speaker who's from IBM and he's fantastic. He doesn't work specifically in distribution, but the lessons apply. Okay. But most of the speakers are like, here's how you can apply AI to order automation and CRM and marketing automation.
Yeah.
And cash collection and inventory management and warehouse management and fleet management. And so it's very like, here are applications that are AI enabled that help you run a better distribution company right now. There was no conference out there like that. There still is no conference like that except for ours, but that's how we came up with it. And that's what we focus on when we plan the curriculum for it.
And it's definitely growing by leaps and bounds. Because I attended from the second one, the second and third, and then I'll attend this one as well. But you see the room swelling a little, and getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah. We're at the limits of this venue. So this will sell out. We were full last year. This year, it's like we're way ahead and we're going to run out of tickets. It's not imminent. You got some time, but you don't have, the conference is the 23rd through the 25th of June. Don't wait till June to sign up.
There's only so much room in that ballroom. There's only so much room in that venue.
We're sold out of sponsorships. Ticket sales are hot. We're going to a bigger venue next year. And by the way, I've never let the team say, this show is going to sell out before, because I don't like that kind of, sounds like, used car salesperson marketing. But I am allowing it this year because it really is true. So we're at the limits of the venue. We're going to a bigger venue next year. People need to sign up.
Absolutely. I'll tell you, going back to the kind of generalist, AI people, I remember seeing Zach Cass.
Yeah, he's great.
Oh my gosh, that guy, it was highly inspirational. You just couldn't have asked for a better person to kind of get people excited, but also try to alleviate fear and kind of humanize the technology. That guy was just spot on.
Yeah, he's gone up 325%
in his rate. Oh, I'm certain of that. Yeah.
So he's not coming back to our conference.
No.
But also he was there twice, and we don't have anybody coming back who's been there before. So, I think our speaker lineup this year is, it's a really nice mix of stuff that is highly focused on distribution, and the speakers who are more general are still talking about things that are very useful. So it's, cybersecurity and AI's impact on labor and stuff like that. And then we've got the CMO from Graybar who's opening the conference, and we've got the CTO for Grainger who's closing it. Yeah. So it's a really nice blend.
Highly distribution focused.
It is, right. Yeah.
And I think one of the things I'd want to share with the audience, again, from my experience, it was walking around and, first of all, seeing a lot of people that I really enjoy seeing on a regular basis. I only get to see them once or twice a year, I only see you once a year,
I know.
once or twice a year, but we see each other through Zoom and whatnot. And when we have conversations, but I think it's great to be able to put, faces to names and to realize not just the people who are the sponsors who are in there and they have good products.
Yeah.
But, some of the folks like myself walking around, people can come up and just ask us questions. And, it's like, we're not going to, we don't start the meter or anything like that. We're not going to charge anybody. It's like, hey, man, we really just want to kind of see if you can move yourself forward. That's all we care about.
Yeah, I think this is a different conference, right? It's a little bit more like a tech conference than a traditional distribution conference.
Correct. Yeah.
The people who come to this conference are technology forward. They just are. Yeah. And they're there because it's a technology conference. It's about AI. It's not an association conference, which are important. They have great education and there's good networking. The technology is a side topic at a conference like that. And for us, it is the topic. And of course, we're a little bit famous now for our dress code, which is you must wear clothes.
Right. Exactly.
Which is strictly enforced.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Because, let's face it, we're aging, and it just
that's
really
right.
would not be, again, that whole pretty facade, we talked about earlier, probably not so much,
Pretty as we are. Right?
Yeah.
But, people are in, jeans and pullovers and stuff, and we don't care because it's not the point. Although, there are lots of people in jackets too, but it's just a different feel versus a traditional distribution conference because it's so technology forward.
Well, I think what I've always enjoyed, and I would say that, if people are thinking about coming to this and they're not quite sure, for me, it was really nice when I would sit in one of the breakout sessions and we'd be watching one of the people give their presentation. And, then like we would turn to each other and talk about it, say, hey, well, do you think this is really going to work? What do you think? And there's enough of us who have been to these things, and we have seen it work or not work. And we can be very honest about what we see out there and we can talk.
Right.
And so I think that's the thing. It's not lecture. It's more, I found that it was much more interactive among participants, who were sitting there.
Good.
And we would have deeper discussions about that technology.
Yeah. So we have a lot of technology presentations there. They have to send us their slides in advance, right? We have to approve the speaker. It can't be a person in sales. It's got to be a product or a technical person. And then they have to present to us. So Brian Hopkins, who's our COO, and Jonathan, my business partner, and I split up the 40 presenters, and about 10 of them or 13 each have to present. Actually, not all of them present. I guess it's about 25. So about 8 each have to present to us. So we vet the content, the presenter, and the presentation before they get there. These have to be educational. They can't be sales pitches.
Right. No, 100%. And for the most part, everyone I've seen has been, and it's been very brand agnostic. There's a little bit of brand in there.
I know it sneaks in.
It sneaks in, but it's not obtrusive. I think it's really, these folks in many cases have the same mentality. They just want to see people advance. They just want to see whoever's sitting in that audience. I think we can get you just a little bit further than you are today. That's all.
We tell them, look, you're going to sell more if you educate rather than if you try to sell. And I think they get that.
For sure. I would agree with that. So any new technologies, do you see anything that's going to pop up? Or I know I hate to a little teaser here.
That's all right.
Anything new that, I've seen some really cool stuff.
So there's a couple things. So Agentic AI, if you're around AI a lot, you know what it is. But honestly, a lot of people don't, because I ask when I do keynotes how many people have heard of Agentic AI, and it's still much less than half the room. And this is AI that actually acts proactively as an agent. Right. That's where the term agentic comes from. So, a simple example might be I have an agent on my laptop or on my phone, and I tell it, hey, I got to go to Miami for this meeting 2 months from now, plan the trip. And it actually accesses your airline account, your hotel account, your Uber account, and it plans the whole trip out. It puts everything on your calendar, comes back and says, here's what I've set up. Do you want to approve it? Yes or no? By the way, you had a meeting on this date. I moved it to X date, and I'll track your expenses for the whole trip and file your expense statement when you're done. That's agentic AI.
Absolutely.
Now imagine that in a customer service context where a customer can call in and you say, hey, this customer's order needs to be expedited. And it goes off and finds out what the status is. And it communicates back to you and copies the customer, or communicates to the customer and copies you. There are all these different agentic tasks. So Nick Pericles, who's, great guy. He just founded his own company called 10xity. He's doing a post-show workshop called Agentic AI for distributors. So that's a new technology. And so you should send someone to that. Brian Hopkins is doing a post-show workshop on building your own AI roadmap, and he's got this whole ROI calculator. So those are two sort of add-ons to the event. Another thing is that, there's this change in software right now. And you mentioned it, before, how you're actually programming Claude to do things for you.
Yes,
right?
I'm trying. I'm in my deep research at this point.
Right,
yes, learning.
right.
Yeah.
And so not only can you use Claude to write code and write software, but you can use a site called Lovable to write your own apps. And so learning how to use these kinds of technologies optimally. And so Brian Hopkins is actually doing an LLM workshop as part of the core curriculum from the stage. You're going to walk away from there knowing how to use LLM. I mean, unless you're really, really an advanced user, you're going to walk away much better with LLMs than before you watch Brian's keynote. And so those are some areas that are emerging in AI that you can, come to our event and learn about and learn how they apply to distributors. And, there's some others, but those are sort of the big things right now. Yeah.
No, those are huge. I mean, I'm really fascinated by agentic AI. That's been a big, for the last, year or so, it started to really come out.
Right.
Started to see commercials on TV, that talk about Salesforce agents, things like that. And that was kind of a big deal. But no, the agentic AI, honestly, I think there's going to be a real shift in the way that people utilize these tools, instead of just as a research or maybe a gathering tool or something, that now it's going to proactively do something. That is a big step forward.
Yeah, it's not just answering your questions anymore. It's taking action on your behalf. By the way, one of the things I talk about from the stage when I do keynotes now, Jason, is it's not going to be very far off in the future when you're going to be on a Zoom call or a Teams call with multiple people, and you're not going to know which of the people in those windows are real and which ones are agents.
Yeah. 100%. And it's a little disconcerting for people, but there's a part of me I have to step back and say, well, am I getting what I need done?
Yeah.
Does it matter anymore? And it's, I'm just going to let stuff like that go,
You can't stop it. So you're going to have to learn it. And a lot of ways, I don't like it, right? I don't want to be on the phone with someone I don't know if they're human.
For the longest time, yes. I mean, I would say yes. And then I started to listen to, the guys from work, Chris Ederson and,
Yeah, sure. Chris Van Ederson, right?
Yeah. I spent some time up with him in Detroit recently. And we did a long form podcast. It was actually one of the coolest podcast studios I have ever seen in my life. I mean, this place was amazing. It was outstanding. It was one that, they had rented. So we did this long form video podcast. And but we talked a lot about agentic AI. I mean, that was kind of the big topic that we were talking about. One of the pet peeves I've always had in distribution, especially, and really it's kind of along the marketing world, is the dormant account problem.
Yeah, right.
That's just driven me crazy for years because nobody wants to call on a dormant account. I mean, yes, there are thousands of them there on the books. Nobody wants to call on them. I think that is this perfect opportunity for agentic AI to reach out to those, and see, can we get 10% back? Can we get 20% of those people back?
Right. Look, I mean, right now, if you call and you get an agent on the phone, you trying to think of what are the magic words to get to a human, right? Do I say operator?
Right,
human,
agent, operator.
Right. It's not going to be long.
Talk to a person.
Right. It's not going to be long before you prefer the agent because they'll know everything. They'll have access to every system. And by the way, you'll never be put on hold again because the capacity for them to take calls is infinite. And this is coming. And I mean, whether you like it or not, that's the thing. It doesn't matter. It's coming. If you don't do it, your competitors are going to be doing it. And, and I'm not, by the way, I don't know how fast the adoption is going to be because I think it's easier to predict what's going to happen than when it comes to technology. So I don't know that this is going to be a year away or 2 years away.
Right.
But it ain't 10.
No, it ain't 10. No, I would agree with you. It's funny. You just sparked a thought here. So for the longest time in distribution, in the traditional distribution world I grew up in, is that territory sales manager, that field salesperson, was the first phone call from a customer. Customers like to call them, and that shifted throughout my career to people preferred to call the inside person because they had the access to information. Go a little further. are they going to then prefer to speak to the agent because the agent has even more abilities than that person? So I almost think there is an evolution that is going to occur from a service level from the customer base that distribution traditionally serves.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. I think that is going to happen. Yeah.
And I think it's a little scary, but is it, you and I've talked about, is AI going to eliminate jobs? And that's an argument, back and forth. And I think it's inevitable that certain jobs will go away.
Right.
And have already gone away at this point. They are rapidly going away, but it doesn't mean that people have to lose their employment over it. It means just upskill, just change a little bit and you're still in the game.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. So this is funny that you should say that. So on April 15th, a little over a month from now, I'm having a debate with Alex Chalsowski. And Alex is,
I know Alex.
I love Alex. Yeah, great guy.
I know Alex. Yeah.
He's actually stayed at my house before. So he's a friend of ours. And I love the guy. But we have very different points of view on this issue as to whether or not AI is going to eliminate jobs. And so he's agreed to engage me in a friendly debate. And I'm really looking forward to it. And by the way, I would love to be wrong because I think it's going to wipe out a lot of jobs. But Alex doesn't. He's more like what you just said. And so it's going to be a fascinating debate. I'm really looking forward to it. But you got to bring your A game when you debate Alex, man.
Oh my God. Yeah. I'm like thinking, are you sure you want to take this one on?
I know. Yeah.
It's like, dude, I don't know, man. That's a tough order right there.
It is, man. He's bright. So it'll be a fun debate.
Well, good. So again, for people that need to register, want to register, where do they go?
Yeah, you can go to appliedai4distributors.com. Or you can go to distributionstrategy.com and hit the banner at the top of the page. And there's significant discounts. So it's $17.95 for the first person. But as soon as anyone else registers with your company's URL, they get $500 off. $12.95 for all subsequent entries because we're trying to get multiple people there. And then the hotel registration link is on there as well. Yeah, and then the workshops are additional. There's 2 post-show workshops.
Yeah.
The pre-show workshop is for the first 75 people, but some people have opted out, so there's still room.
Got it. Those workshops, I mean, that's worth its weight in gold right there,
If you're coming to Chicago, you might as well get the extra.
Might as well get the extra,
Right. So,
although, that's not a bad time. I like that time in Chicago.
Me too.
I think it's great, man.
Well, it's easy to get to because we're at the Chicago Marriott O'Hare, so it's 5 minutes in an Uber. And
yeah, absolutely.
So,
it's right there. Ian, as always, man, always a pleasure to catch up. And I love going down this technology journey with you. It's just been fun, And I truly appreciate what you guys have done because to your point about not being anything in the market, I mean, that truly wasn't. And for those of us who are really excited about it, well, where do we go? Where's our people? Where are our people? And this is what I've seen here.
Well, thank you for having me. I mean, it's my treat and my pleasure to be here with you. And I'd like to invite you to join us on one of our programs sometimes. Would you be interested in doing that?
Of course I would. Of course,
Good.
man.
Good.
That's all horse trading, man. That's all we do is we train and we get on each other's shows and do all that kind of fun stuff. Hey, before I let you go, I just thought of one thing. So, and I just happened to glance over at, a logo here for Lantern, Lantern AI.
Right.
And I'll tell you, Connor and Matt, and for those in the audience, maybe have heard me talk about this, but I think that your conference was a catalyst for those two guys to decide that their thesis, their graduate thesis was going to be in distribution and become an AI company serving distributors. I truly think that your conference was a huge catalyst for those two guys.
Yeah, I don't know. It might have been. I mean, I remember Connor, I can't remember if we comped him or gave him some smoking hot discount because he was a student at the time.
Yeah.
But he came to our conference and he's just this, as you know, delightful.
Nicest guy in the world. Absolutely.
Yeah. Right. And he's got that, I think he's from Ireland, right? And he's got that strong Irish brogue.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, I don't know if that was the tipping point or contributed to it, but we were delighted to host him then. And it's really fun to see them build this software company. And it appears to be growing really quickly. So, I mean, I'm a little older than you, but we're at the stage of our careers where you really like helping some of these entrepreneurs, who are earlier in their careers make it. And he's a good example of that. And I know you've had a lot of interaction with him too. You're probably the spark as much as anything.
Well, it was fun. You're right. I do like giving back, and I do like seeing that kind of thing. And yes, and I remain very close to that company today.
Yeah.
Anyway, my friend. Okay. Well, that was my trip down memory lane right there.
Yeah.
So again, thanks again for coming on.
Oh, are you kidding? Thanks for having me, Jason. Again, If you don't subscribe to Distribution Talk, you need to like it and subscribe right now. It's a show you don't want to miss. I'm delighted to be a part of it. Thanks for what you do for the industry. Thanks for helping me talk about the conference, and we'll look forward to seeing you in June in Chicago.
Fantastic. All right, my friend.
Thank you for listening. If you liked what you heard, consider sharing with your friends and colleagues. And don't forget to follow the show on your favorite podcast application. Links to sponsors, products, and services mentioned during this episode can be found in the show description area or at www.distributiontalk.com. Distribution Talk is edited and mixed by the brilliant team at the Creative Imposter Studios. This episode was brought to you by my company, the Distribution Team. We are a consulting services firm dedicated to helping wholesale distribution clients remove barriers to profitability, generate wealth, and achieve personal goals. To learn more about how we can help your company succeed, check us out at www.thedistributionteam.com.